All right, well, let's get started. Everybody good to go? Awesome. So today I wanted to do a nice vinyasa flow into half moon. So if you're not familiar, half moon looks something like this. So we're going to be working into opening up the hips, a little slight back bend, working on straightening the spine, always posteriorly tucking the pelvis, and yeah, a lot of side bends as well. So today should be super juicy. And let's get started lying on our backs. So this is one of my favorite poses. It's called banana pose. And you just want to start all the way on the back. Raise your hands over your head and grab your right wrist with your left hand. Move your right foot off of your mat and then cross your left ankle over your right ankle. And even shift your shoulders over to the right. So you're making this sort of banana curve. Just getting a really nice stretch into the side. You can play with placement of your feet and your hands. And just send all your breath to your side body. Notice how your shoulders are both planted onto the mat. This is going to be sort of a theme in building up to our half moon because we want our shoulders to be square to the side space. Take a few more moments here just to connect with the breath. Let go of anything else you were doing before this, anything you're doing after this. And slowly come back to center. Let's take it on the other side. So just step that left foot to the outside of the mat, cross the right ankle over, and switch your grip on the wrists. Set your shoulders over to the left, come into your little banana curve. And take nice deep breaths into the side body. A few more breaths on this side in your banana pose. Last breath, inhale, exhale. And we're just gonna make our way up to a seat. So just try to do so slowly and mindfully. Maybe roll off to one side, press yourself up. Just don't jerk yourself around at all. And come to just sit on your knees. So we're just in a hero pose. And let's plant the right hand down. Extend the left arm overhead and come to a side stretch. And again here, the tendency probably is going to be that your shoulders want to curve down to look at your right hand. But what I want you to do is open up the shoulder towards the front of your space. And drop your left shoulder away from the ear. It's okay if your right elbow is bent here. And switch. Plant the left hand down. Stretch over to the left. Try to find length in the neck. Come back to center. And then let's do that just a couple more times, a little bit faster. So exhale, stretch over to the side. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, stretch over to the other side. And come back to center. One more time. Side stretch, exhale. Inhale, back to center. And other side. And back to center. Beautiful. So let's come to face the front of your mat. Get your hands nice and planted in. And we're just in a tabletop position. Start with a few hip circles here. So it's kind of like a cat-cow, but it's sort of starting with the hips. So bringing the hips over to the left, close to the hands, over to the right, back towards the feet, and a couple in this direction. And then reverse those circles. Right, front, left, back, right, front, left, back. And once you're even on both sides, come back to your neutral tabletop. And I want to take sort of a kneeling half moon pose, since that's the pose that we're working into. So I'm just going to wing out my right foot to give me more balance, extend my left foot, and extend the left arm up. And check that your neck is really long. You want the crown of your head trying to reach the wall in front of you. Stabilize through that right shoulder. And you can stay here or just lift up that left leg for a little bit extra balance. Option also to extend the left arm in front of you for an even bigger side stretch. And as you're here, just notice if your back is trying to arch. Try to keep it straight. Good. Release the left leg down and the left arm, and just switch to the other side. So wing out that left leg, extend the right leg out, lift the right arm. Take some nice breaths here. And if you want to take it one step further, and if you did it on the other side, then just lift up that right leg and extend the right arm overhead. So bicep is close to the ear here. Beautiful. Come back to center. So we're back in our tabletop. And walk the hands slightly forward on the mat. Tuck your toes. Feel yourself really planted into the ground. And then lift up the bum into the air and press yourself back towards your heels. Down dog. Let's take this first down dog to just really pedal it out. Maybe take some wiggles side to side. Really getting into the body here and lengthening the breath. Slowing down the breath. When we slow down the breath, we slow down the mind. And find stillness in your down dog, even if your knees are bent. 2 more breaths. Good. From here, I want you to arch your back and roll forward. Come into a plank position. And then on an exhale, bend the knees, arch the back like a cow, and press all the way back to down dog. Inhale, lift up the heels, curve the back like a cat, come forward into plank, and reverse that, coming back to your down dog. One more like this, just a nice warm up for the spine. Do it on your own breath. Beautiful. One last thing before we get into our flow, I want you to drop down to the knees, come into a child's pose, and just to get those hips a little bit more open, place the hands underneath the forehead and just rock a little side to side, warming up that femur bone into the hip socket. Send all your breath to the low back and into the hips. Last breath, inhale and exhale. We're always breathing in and out of the nose if possible. And come forward. Back in your tabletop. Tuck the toes. Down dog. Lift up the right leg into the sky. Open up the hip. My knee is bent. Take a couple hip circles, just drawing some circles in the air. And reverse. And then step the right foot through. We're going to come into our warrior two. So your left heel is dropped down. Arms are in a T shape. Stay here for a few breaths. One more, inhale. Exhale. Straighten your right leg. So we're coming into a Trikonasana, triangle pose. Bump out the left hip behind you and extend the right arm forward. Bring the right arm to the shin. Bring the left arm up to the sky. Maybe you need to take a couple heel toes to bring the feet a little bit closer together. And as you're here, just think about your hips wanting to face the side wall. Really engage the core and tuck the pelvis slightly, so extending the tailbone a little bit closer to the heels. Lengthen the neck, lift the kneecaps, and really press the feet into the mat. And then come all the way back up. Bend into the knee, come back to your warrior two, and cartwheel the arms down. You're in a lunge position. Step the right foot back. You can take an optional chaturanga, lower down to 90 degrees with the elbows. Inhale, open the heart, up dog, and exhale, down dog. Inhale, exhale. Shake out the head a little bit. And then lift up the left leg into the air, bend the knee and stack the hip. Draw a couple circles. And then step that foot through, come to your warrior two on the other side, so drop the right heel down and open the arms up into a T shape. Few breaths here. Nice long hold to start off with. Checking your alignment. And then straighten the front leg if you need to heel toe your back foot up a little bit. It's totally cool. Lean forward, bump the right hip back, and bring that left arm down to the shin. You can also bring it to a block here. However, I like to just put my hand at the shin because it allows me to keep my side body really long. If I did bring my hand down to a block, I'm going to create a big C shape here, and I want to keep it fairly straight. Again, engage the legs. One more breath. And bring yourself all the way back up. Bend back into your warrior two for a moment. And then cartwheel the arms down. Step the left foot back, option to take chaturanga. Up dog. And down dog. Stay here for a few breaths. And we're gonna take that all on each side one more time with a little bit added on to the end. So lift up the right leg into the sky, take a couple hip circles. Maybe if you did them one way the last time, do it the other way. And then step your right foot through, drop the back heel, warrior two. 2 breaths here, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Straighten the right leg, bump the left hip out, bring the body forward and down into triangle trikonasana. Check if the shoulders are bunching up. 1 breath. And come back up, bend into that front knee. I want you to grab one of your blocks, place it close to your right foot, bring the left hand to your hip. We are not coming into half moon yet. I just want to warm up the hips and get you a little bit used to that motion. So just bend into the right knee, maybe bend into the left knee. You can even play with bringing your left foot off of the ground. And you can also play with the placement of the block. It can be in front of you. It can be to the outside of your right foot or to the inside of your right foot. When we actually come into half moon, it's going to be in front of the foot. So this is actually a pretty good exercise on my quad and my glute. Good. Move the block out of the way, plant the hands down, come to your runner's lunge. Step the right foot back, take a chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. And inhale the left leg into the air, bend the knee, stack the hips. And bring that left foot through. Step into your warrior two. One more breath. Straighten the left leg. Bump the right hip out. Come forward and down. Trikonasana. 2 breaths. Really wrapping that top right hip bone back behind you. And come back to your warrior two. Grab your block and just play around like you did on the last side. Keep that right hand on the hip for now. So we're just opening up into the hips, playing with balance a little bit and strengthening into the leg muscles. It looks kind of funny probably, but that's okay. A few more breaths here. Good, move that block out of the way. Place the hands around the feet. Step the left foot back. Take a chaturanga. Make your way back to your down dog. Stay here for 3 more breaths. Good. And just walk the feet up to the hands. So we're in a forward fold. Inhale, press the hands into the shin and extend the front of the head forward. for a flat back, and then exhale, release, forward fold. Roll yourself all the way up to your standing mountain pose. Inhale the arms up and overhead, and then bring them into prayer at the heart center. Take a breath here in the Samasti pose. Good. And lift up the right leg. Let's take a tree pose. So before you bring the leg all the way in, let's bring it out to the side. Really pull on that right knee and press on the left hip. Get a nice opening there. And then take your right foot and place it either on the inside of the left thigh or just keep it at the calf. Either is fine. This is mostly a balancing pose and it's also opening up into the hip. So the only thing you want to look out for is if I can bring my foot all the way up here, but my right hip is really hiking up, better to just keep it down at the calf. And if you want to take a optional extension, you can bring the hands to the heart or bring them up overhead, and even for a balance challenge, look up towards the ceiling. Stay here for a few more breaths. Bring the hands back to heart center if you have them lifted. And drop the right leg. Shake out the legs a little bit. Lift up the left leg. Do the same that you did on the other side, so just create that opening by pressing into the hip and the knee. And then place the leg wherever it feels good. It might be different on this side. Bring the hands to heart or bring them overhead. You can also think about pressing the foot into the thigh and the thigh into the foot. And we're really active in that right leg, so the kneecap is lifted. One more breath. Bring the hands to your heart. Drop the leg down. Take a couple of breaths. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. Exhale. And I want you to just make your way down to your down dog. So just inhale the arms up and overhead. Fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. And walk your way back to your down dog. Let's stay here for 3 breaths. And step the right foot forward, come back into that warrior 2. This time I want you to drop the right elbow, come forward into a side angle pose. Come back into your warrior 2 and reverse your warrior. So flip the front palm and reach it behind you. You can have that left hand resting on your back leg, or you can curve it around the low back. And come back to warrior 2. Cartwheel the arms down. Square off the hips to your runner's lunge. Step the right foot all the way back. And then roll onto the outside of your right foot, come into a side plank. If you want, you can also place your left foot in front of your right, and that's going to give you a little bit more balance assistance. You can also drop your right knee onto the ground like we did at the beginning of class. Inhale. Exhale. And then reach your left arm over your left ear And just do a little extension, a C curve, side bend. Come back to your neutral side plank. Place the left hand down. Press back into your down dog, optional chaturanga if you want it. And then step the left foot through. Drop the right heel, come back to your warrior two. One breath. And then drop your left elbow. Come to your side plank. Right arm is reaching overhead. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, flip the front palm. Reach back, reverse warrior. Come back to your warrior two. One breath. And cartwheel those arms down. Take an optional chaturanga or just meet back in down dog. Shift forward into your plank and roll over onto the left foot. So we're in side plank on the other side. Beautiful. And if you want to take that optional extension, you can curve the spine up to the right and extend the left arm overhead, right arm overhead. If you're doing this, make sure to really stabilize into the left shoulder by pressing the hand into the mat. And then roll yourself back to your plank. Press yourself back to down dog. And let's place the knees down onto the mat. Touch the toes together. Rest the hands underneath the forehead and do that same little rocking back and forth. Take lots of big breaths into this area of the body and notice if your hips feel any more open than they did before. A few more breaths. And walk those hands forward in front of you. Lift the hips off of the knees. Tuck the toes. Press back to down dog. 5 breaths. Really check your alignment here now that you're nice and warmed up. So we're wanting our chest to press back towards the thighs. Core is engaged, neck is long. The eyes of the elbows want to rotate so they're facing up towards the ceiling. Shift yourself forward into your plank and then shift back to down dog. We'll do this a few times with the breath. It's a little bit different than what we did before, so we're not curving the spine, we're just going pretty directly from down dog to plank. So I like to exhale when I push back to down dog, and inhale, come back to plank. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, plank. You can always take this from the knees too if you want. Last one, down dog. Plank. And let's shift one more time over into our side plank. So right arm is down, left arm is up. Option to take your extension with the left arm overhead. And then roll yourself back to plank position. Press back to your down dog. Bend into the knees and look up towards your hands. You can kind of bend up and down like you're going to take a big leap, And then option to step or jump to the outside of the hands. We're gonna come into a Malasana Yogi squat. So I have my elbows to the inside of my knees. My toes are pointed outward, and my heels are placed on the mat, my toes are off the mat. And if you need to come up a little bit, that's cool too. You can also sit on a block if that's easier. We're gonna stay here for a bit. Really press the elbows into the knees, extend the crown of the head up for a straight spine, and breathe. One more breath. Place the hands down onto the mat. If you want to take a crow pose here, you can. So you're just going to bend into the elbows, lift up the heels, place the insides of the thighs onto the outsides of the triceps, and play with lifting up the toes. If you just get one off the ground or none, that's fine. Just play around with it. Make sure you're really pressing into the knuckles and the fingertips. It's going to take the pressure off the wrists. And then place the heels back down on the ground. Straighten the legs, come to forward fold. Take advantage of this wide leg position we have here. You may just rock a little bit back and forth. And then heel toe the feet in. Just roll yourself one vertebra at a time all the way up to standing. Lift up the right knee, open it up to the side. If you want to take that a step further, you can grab onto the toes with the right hand and extend the leg out to the right. You can have the left hand at the hip or extend the left arm out. You can also look over the left shoulder for extra balance challenge. But again, just keeping the knee bent here is an option too. You can still get a really nice opening in the hip. And then bring that foot forward. One more breath, try to touch the head to the knee. And then bend the knee in, try not to set it on the ground if you can. And place it in for tree pose. Lift the arms overhead if you want to do that. And lower the right foot down. Shake it out a little bit. Inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Bend into the knees. Step the feet back. Option to take chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Let's take a couple of those shiftings in plank. So inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, press back, down dog. Plank. Down dog. Plank. And then roll yourself over to the left side for plank, for side plank on the left. One more breath. Feel free to take your extension if you want. And then place the right hand down. Shift yourself back to your regular plank. Back to down dog. And then look forward. Bend into the knees. Get ready to bounce forward into your Malasana. And jump or step. Place the hands at the heart center. If you have a lot of flexibility in the hips, you can place a block between the hands. One more breath. Place the hands in front of you. Lift up the heels. Option to take crow. And place the feet back down. Straighten the legs. Forward fold. Heel toe the feet in. Roll yourself all the way up. Face the front. Take your little hip opening. And option to grab your index and middle finger onto the big toe. Extend out to the side. Check what your standing leg is doing. It likes to bend to compensate. And then bring that leg straight in front of you. Arch forward, bring the head closer to the leg. Try to release the leg without dropping it to the floor. And place the left foot on the inside of the right leg for your tree pose. You can take whichever variation of arms you like. Nice balance. And release. Just take a little wiggle from side to side, maybe some hip circles. Beautiful. All right, let's get into our fun peak pose. Inhale the arms up and overhead. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Forward fold. Bend in the knees, step back. Option to take chaturanga or meet in down dog. And let's lift up the right leg into the sky. And then step the right foot through. Open up into your warrior two. So the reason that we sequence warrior two and triangle before our half moon pose is because all of those have the hips facing the long side of your mat. So from warrior two, I want you to take your block, place it in front of the right foot. And like we did before, you're just gonna play with launching. And then you can come all the way up. So I have my block about a foot in front of my right foot. You can keep the left hand on the hip, or you can put the left hand into the sky. It helps to balance if you can find a place on the floor close to your block that's not moving. And just think about shooting energy out the back heel and out the top of the head. So you're getting a lot of extension here. Notice if you want to have like a funky curve in the back, try to engage the core to avoid that. And really open up that left shoulder as if you want your shoulders to be flat against a wall. Okay, I feel it in my right foot. And bend into the right knee. Step the left foot back. You're back in your warrior two. Beautiful. And extend the right leg. Walk up the left foot. And this time let's square off the hips to the front instead of the side. And just come forward into a nice hamstring release. You can take your blocks here, or just hold on to the leg, or bring the hands to the floor. Just do whatever feels good. Don't worry about keeping a long spine. And then bend into your right knee. Plant the hands down. Step back. Option to take chaturanga or meet in down dog. If you're in down dog, just breathe here for 3 breaths while we wait for our chaturanga people. And then lift your left leg into the air. Bring the left knee in towards the nose. Step the foot through and open up into your warrior two with your left foot forward. Stay here for a breath. And then prepare your block so you can take half moon on this side. Just place that block about a foot in front of your left foot. And you can play with bending the right knee a bit. And then spring yourself forward. It's okay if you lose your balance, I just did. Yeah, that time I did it and I had a spot to look at and I didn't fall. And then just work on rotating that right hip back. And if you can, open the right arm up to the ceiling. And if you feel stable, you can also turn your gaze towards the sidewall instead of the floor. But even there, I would suggest finding a spot to look at. And just notice all of the small muscles that are working in the left foot and the left leg to stabilize. And bend into that left leg. Step yourself back. You're back in your warrior two. Breath here. And rotate yourself. Oh wait, I forgot to do triangle. Sorry. Straighten the left leg. Walk the right foot forward. Square off the hips to the front of your space. And come forward to your hamstring stretch. And then bend into the left leg. Plant the hands, step the feet back. Option to take chaturanga and meet back in down dog. This is our last portion of our power flow here before we get into our cool down. You guys are doing awesome. Let's lift the right leg up into the sky and then pull the right knee through. Step the foot between the hands. Come back to your warrior two, and we're gonna move really quickly into that half moon pose. So just find your balance, rock yourself forward, open up to the side of the room. And also option here to bend in that left knee, grab the ankle with the left foot or the top of the foot, and get a nice quad stretch here. Notice if your spine is straight. Engage the core so we're not getting a back arch. And if you have a lot of flexibility in the leg, you can even kick that left foot into the left hand. Get a stronger stretch in the quad. And release the foot. Come back to your half moon. Bend into the right knee. Step back, warrior two. Cartwheel the arms down. Step the foot back to plank. Lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Lift the left leg into the air. Step the left foot through. Drop the right foot and come to your warrior two on this side. And move straight into that half moon. Grab your block. And if you feel like you don't need the block, you can get rid of it and just bring the fingertips to the ground. I think I like to have it because it keeps my torso a bit more level. And feel free to take that quad extension. Grab the right foot with the right hand and kick into the foot. Open up the heart. And release the foot. Half moon for a moment. Bend into the left knee. Step back. Warrior two. Cartwheel the hands down. Step back into plank. And just lower the knees. Come to child's pose. You can take whatever variation feels good for you. Arms can extend out in front of you. You can place them underneath the head, or you can even bring your arms behind you into a rock pose. Just feel all the effects of your physical practice, very physical practice today. Three more breaths. Try to make them slower and longer, calming down the nervous system. Begin to bring yourself up. Walk the hands back towards the knees. Come to sit up straight. And I want to do just a little bit of opening into the feet after all of that balance. I just learned this week from my friend Tracy. So I want you to put your right foot on the inside of your left arch and just sit back on the feet. So the top bone of your foot is going to be pressing into that arch. And depending on how tight your feet are and what shape your feet are, this could be really intense. So you don't have to sit all the way back. You can sit forward a little bit. And you can play with the placement of your foot to see maybe what point feels the best for you. Mine is a little bit higher, maybe like 3/4 of the way up my arch towards my heel. And come forward. Let's switch feet. Might be more intense on one side than the other. Just send all your breath to the foot. And release. Sit off to one side. Bring the legs in front of you. Bring the feet to touch. And grab onto the feet or the ankles. Make your spine as straight as you can. And exhale, press yourself down. You can use the elbows to press into the knees. Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose. And you can play around here with how you like your arms. You can play around with straightening the spine on the inhale and then curving it on the exhale. You're going to get two pretty different stretches by doing that. Or you can just relax forward. Roll yourself all the way up. Extend your left leg forward. And we've taken Janu Sirsasana A a lot in this class, and I want to do the B version of this. So the A version is just like tree pose, right? Where you have your sole of your foot to your thigh. The B version is that you place your toes onto the mat and place your heel onto the inside of your thigh. And then you come forward. So you want all of your toes to be staying on the ground if possible. And if this feels funky on your knee, just do the regular Janu Sirsasana A. But should give you a nice hamstring stretch and a nice stretch in the right foot. I even feel this into my low back on the right side. Come all the way back up. Let's take this right leg and kind of use it like a oar for a boat. Place it on the outside of the left leg. Hook your left elbow on your right knee. Place your right hand behind you. And on your exhale, twist. Look back over your right shoulder and really dig that right sits bone into the ground and pull it forward on your mat, which is going to square off the hips. That means that the twist is coming from the mid-back, not the hips. And release. Let's take all of that on the other side. So bring your right leg straight, place your left toes onto the mat, place them on the inside of your leg, and then place your left heel on the inside of your thigh. So toes are on the ground, heels on the thigh. You can adjust it a little bit and just come forward for your hamstring and foot opening. You can play with hand placement. Maybe you want to grab onto the foot, or maybe you want to just have your hands onto the mat. Come all the way up. Take your left leg, place it on the outside of the right leg, and take a twist. And you can release your twist and just slowly make your way all the way down onto your back. Come to your final pose, Shavasana. Hands are open up to the ceiling. Feet are falling to the side. Take a second to lift up each shoulder and tuck your shoulder blade underneath yourself. And breathe. Begin to find a little bit of movement. You can stretch the arms overhead. Take a nice good morning stretch. And just really mindfully find your way to your seat. Try to keep the eyes closed and keep the focus inward. Cross the ankles. Bring the hands to the thighs. Sit with a straight spine and slightly engage the abdominals to support the spine. Ground the sits bones down, drop the shoulders away from the ears, and feel your yourself really tall and confident. Bring the hands to your heart center. Take 3 inhales and exhales into the heart. And bring those hands to the third eye. Take a gentle bow. Thank you for a beautiful practice today. You all did a wonderful job. Namaste.